history. Well, good morning. I'm Larry.
I'm Christine.
And we're the Silver Wanderers. Alright, we're in Istanbul right now. And everywhere you go, there's a little piece of history on every single corner and on every single block. So this is just outside our hotel here. We have no idea what it is, but that's old Roman brick. And this is a giant tour bus. The tour buses all stop out in front of our hotel to offload because we're right around the corner from the main tourist area. So today's trip is going to take us to the Topkapi Palace. So there's a piece of legislation that's just been approved to cull the dogs here. So you don't really see a lot of dogs. I'm not sure if it's in place yet, but it's in all the news. And I'm at Square again. Hagia Sophia. The lineup for Hagia Sophia. I believe this is a tomb, but it used to be a fountain. And here we are going into Topkapi Palace. With some pretty heavy armed security. So Topkapi Palace is this huge, sprawling campus of administrative and religious and government buildings that made up the palace for the Ottomans. Got some great views on the Bosphorus. So they've confiscated my telescoping tripod, which is okay, but I haven't really used it much, but we can pick it up on the way out. So just a tip if you're coming into Topkapi Palace, they don't like professional photography here. They don't even like amateur photography. So these are the grounds, and you can wander the grounds for free, actually. It's the museum buildings and the harem that they charge for. You have mosques built on top of churches. That have been built on top of Roman temples. So all the different periods can be represented in the brick with some early ancient Roman stone and brick with the cement up into Byzantine block. Hopefully they won't be too bad. Yesterday's crowds moved pretty quickly, so.
Functioned as an outer precinct or a park, and it's the largest of all the courtyards of the palace. Those steep slopes leading towards the sea, they'd already been terraced under Byzantine rule when this was built.
I got pushed out of the way.
I know, eh? So this is the inner court now. The second courtyard.
So some of the structures that still remain are the former Imperial Mint. It was constructed in 1727. the Church of Hagia Irene, and a couple of different fountains. The Byzantine Church of Hagia Irene was used by the Ottomans as a storehouse and an imperial armory. So this courtyard was also known as the Court of the Janissaries, or the Parade Court. Court officials and janissaries would line the path dressed in their royal garb like the tourists do now. There's an armory and a wardrobe in the museum that we're heading off to now. The second courtyard was probably completed around 1465 during the reign of Mehmet II. The last renovations were done around 1525 to 1529 during the reign of Suleiman I. It's surrounded by the former palace hospital, the bakery, the janissary quarters, the stables, the imperial haram, and divan to the north and the kitchens to the south. At the end of the courtyard, the Gate of Felicity marks the entrance to the third courtyard. Inside the haram, there's an extensive collection of the royal wardrobe of the sultans and their wives and consorts, while the armory has the battle swords of Mohammed.
More administrative part of the grounds, where there's some clothing displays, some armories, and who knows what else. Let's go see. Oh, the audience chamber, eh? This is where you come for your job interview or your concubine rivals any of the European palaces we've ever seen.
Absolutely.
A little pavilion in the garden, just for lounging.
So despite what we see in the Western depiction of the royal harem, it was not the personal playground of the sultans and their wives and concubines. They were the family household. In fact, the sultans did not even get to pick who they slept with. That was the role of the sultan's mother, who selected them on influence and heirs. The over 300 rooms, baths, and mosques that make up the royal harem housed the wives and children, alongside the janissaries and the princes, who even attended school there.
At these open ceilings.
In this hall is the Sultan's throne. So the gallery was occupied by the consorts of the Sultan, headed by the Queen Mother. A pantry provides access to the Sultan's private apartments. There's a secret door behind a mirror that allowed the Sultan safe passage, while one door leads to the Queen Mother's apartment, another to the Sultan's hammam. The opposite doors lead to the small dining chamber and the great bedchamber, while the other leads to a series of antechambers, including the room of the fountain, which were all retiled and redecorated back in the 17th century.
Well, that's Galata behind us. Well, sweetie, what did you think? What did you think?
Overwhelming. Lots to see.
Sarcophagus. Hey, there's our fountain.
Unfortunately, the Istanbul Archaeological Museum was closed when we got there. So we're wandering around the outside, checking out all of the extras that they seem to have just stored along the side of the street, running all along the side of the museum. Either way, this wraps up our touring part of the day, and we're going to head back to the hotel now for a little rest, but probably stop for a little lunch on the way.
It's like a graveyard of ancient civilization. Any of these pieces could wind up in a museum somewhere. I guess it's like Egypt. There's just so much of it. Got a nice little Mediterranean salad with some tomatoes and cucumbers, a little Turkish cheese, and some wraps. Anything wrapped is called a durum here.
Well, that's about it for day 3 in Istanbul. Topkapi Palace took the better part of a day to visit it all, and it's definitely worth the extra to visit the harem complex as well, though the highlight of mine was the kitchen and its insights into Ottoman culinary practices. Must be the foodie in me. Where Hagia Sophia is included in our Turkiye museum pass, so this starts the clock ticking on our 15-day race to see as many of the sites as we can before our museum pass expires. Stay tuned and stay with us.